to talk to you about a story. I want to tell you about this day that I woke up so excited. I mean, I got up early. I went and put on this fabulous new outfit that I had bought. It had the jacket, the dress, the shoes. I walked out of that house like $1 million. And I remember this day being a really exciting day because it wasn't just the new stuff that I had on, but it was actually something else that was new that I was most excited about. And it had nothing to do with what you could see. It was the fact that I was showing up at work with a new title. I was going to be recognized that day, it had been a big secret, as the newest vice president of my organization. So friends, when I got to work that day, I didn't walk in, I floated. And I was so excited about being able to be in that space. But I have to tell you, my feet hit the ground much faster than I wanted to. Because the very first person that I came across, actually, when they saw me, they got this scowl on their face. And I remember thinking, oh no, what's going on? So when I walked up to the person, instead of being able to say, good morning, how are you doing? Which is what I had been practicing. This person said, Deanna, I'm so sorry. Kind of said it with this like angry voice. And I said, you're so sorry. What are you sorry about? And they said, I'm sorry that you were just getting this promotion as vice president. You know, given your academic background, given the experience that you have, you should have already had this promotion. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. I've only been here for a year, so it's no big deal. I'm just so excited to be here. Now they looked at me with sadness. No, Deanna, you don't understand what I'm saying. I know you've only been here for a year. But given your experience and your academic background, you should have lateraled in as a vice president. Wait, what? This was literally the first time I had ever heard this. So this person says to me, Deanna, go and look back at all the other people who all happen to be men who started with you. Look at their credentials and look at what their titles are. And sure enough, they were 100% right. I had more academic background, I had more experience in the field, and they had all come in as vice presidents, and I had never noticed. Now that took me down, meow, right? My dial was up, meow. I remember I got off the elevator a little bit later in the afternoon, and when I got off, there was somebody standing off to the side, almost as if she had been waiting for me. I get out of the elevator and I hear, Deanna. Yes? There's this woman standing over to the side. She says, do you mind if I talk to you for a second? I say, sure. We pop into a conference room. There's nobody else in this room. She closes the door. And this is a woman from the payroll and benefits office.
Oh, goodness.
You know where I'm going. And she says to me, Deanna, I am so excited for your promotion. I see how hard you are working. Congratulations. I said, thank you. She said, but I wanted to let you know something. This morning, when it came across my desk, I was the one who picked it up, like excited to be able to make the changes in our system for you. But I have to tell you, when I saw what the changes were, I was so disappointed. She said, I don't know if anybody else would tell you this, but I want you to know that you're not even close to the bottom rung of where you should be for your stature in the organization. I said, what? Because of course the promotion, right, the fancy title, also came with a raise. And I thought, of course, I'm not a money person, but I thought, of course, right? I just assumed if I'm getting the title, I'm getting the raise, it's gonna be commensurate with where I'm supposed to be. So I say to this woman, well, how far off am I? $40,000 from the bottom. By the time 3 o'clock rolled around, I was done, right? All I wanted to do was roll out of that place, go back home, get in my bed, pull the covers up over my cute little outfit, and try again. I was finished. But I had one more beautiful surprise ahead of me, right? I get a phone call. And it is from the C-suite. It's one of their executives. Now, this was not unusual because I was actually reporting directly to the C-suite. So I get this phone call, and it says, and the person on the other line's assistant says, Deanna, I need you to come on down to the office. You know, one of our executives would like to speak to you. Okay, great. So I go on down to the office, and when I walk into this executive's office, I get the greeting I had been expecting all day. Hey, Deanna, congratulations on your promotion. Said, you know, with as much energy as I could muster at this moment, thanks. He goes on to say, you know what? In the 40 years that I have been working at this organization, I have never met anybody who is as competent as you. As a matter of fact, what you have been able to accomplish in the first year of you working in this organization is more than what most people can do in a decade. I said, thanks. He said, yeah, well, I just wanted to let you know, I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work. And so I understood that as my exit, right, to go ahead and leave. And so I started to leave, but then he said, hey, Deanna, one more thing. One more thing. I turn around. He says, I just want to let you know that I'm very excited about your promotion, but you shouldn't expect another one anytime soon. Because here, we don't promote Black people really quickly, because if we do, they might get poached. You know, somebody else might take them from us. So you're doing an excellent job, but don't expect another promotion anytime soon. Bye. At this point, I had no idea what to do. So I just turned around and walked out of the door. The reason why I share this story is because I think it's really important for us to have a strong understanding of what is happening to a lot of people who are in industries where there isn't a lot of representation of women. One of the reasons why I think this is so extraordinarily important for us to realize is because there are some things that we really carry around with us, and some of them have already been mentioned by our awesome speakers. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you are two things that I ended up learning that day. So one of the things that I learned that day was that I had a false belief about meritocracy. I had this understanding or this belief that if I showed up early, stayed late, did all the hard work, made sure I met and exceeded every expectation, that I would be rewarded for it. I literally was like the poster child of meritocracy. Do the work, do it well, get it done, you're going to be rewarded. And as a matter of fact, I woke up that morning thinking that I had gotten that promotion because I had followed that principle to a T. But I learned, right, through that day and those experiences, that that clearly was not enough. The other false belief that I had was this idea that it was not appropriate for me to ask for help. Right? I carried this idea that if I were to ask for help, what I would be doing is I would be participating in a form of nepotism. Right? I'd be participating in this idea that it's not what you know, it's who you know. We've all heard that before. And I wanted to have nothing to do with it, right? I wanted to always be able to say, when I look at my career trajectory, it was because of what I did and how I showed up and what I was able to offer. But what I realized that day was that that's not the way this game is played. What I realized that day is that in order for me to move and to do the things I wanted to do, I had to make sure that I was investing in relationships. And so that is what I want to talk to you about today, because guess what, team? I re-upped and I looked at who was in my pit. I looked at who I needed to make sure I was bringing alongside me. If these two things, meritocracy and going it alone, weren't going to be there for me, then I needed to know who was going to help me get to where I needed to go. And there are three groups of people that no matter who you are in this room, you need to make sure you have as part of your support system. The first person and the first people, the first group, are your allies. You see, that person who was very, very angry that day, right? The first person that I met, their anger didn't really do much for me. However, if they had been an advocate, right? If they had said, you know what, I see this pattern. This is what is happening, not just to Deanna, but I've seen this happen to other women who have come into our organization. If they took that knowledge and went to somebody who could make a difference, or they, even better, decided that they were going to be part of creating a solution, I may not have even had that experience. So when you think about allies, it's who are the people who are willing to come around you for a shared common good? And how do we make sure that they are activated? Now, the second group of people that everybody needs are mentors. Right? And mentors come in so many different shapes and forms. Sometimes they can be very formal, sometimes it can be informal, sometimes it's a peer, sometimes it's somebody who's where you want to be. But the point of a mentor is that they have an understanding or an insight into how you get where you're trying to go. They're willing to come alongside you, show you the things that maybe you can't see, pull you into the rooms and close the door and tell you what's really going on. Having those people be part of who you are and how you're moving in your world are incredibly important. Now, the third one is a sponsor. And a lot of people don't really know, like, what's a sponsor? What does that mean? So a mentor is somebody who stands beside you. A sponsor is someone who goes in front of you. And what they do is they go into rooms that maybe you will never, ever be able to be in. You know who was not a sponsor for me? That third person. Because he was in rooms that I was never going to be in. And what was he taking with him? He was taking with him this opinion that he could not recognize my skills or my talents or what I was bringing to the table because he was afraid of what would happen if my light shined too bright. And so in that moment, I realized, you know what I need some other people. I need to make sure there's other people who are activated and are ready to move forward. So having that sense of, yes, I need to have other people who can go in the room before me and say, hey, you know, Deanna, do you see what she did? She's tearing up over there. Let's make sure that we're paying attention to her. Now, this is my story, but this is actually the story of every single person in here. Because if you have not identified who these people are in your life, it makes it very hard to move in the pathway that you want to move in. And so what I want to do is I want to tell you with some very explicit, very practical ways, so get your pens out, of how to do this, okay? I'm going to break it down for you, and I don't have enough time to go through all the details. I'm going to break down some important steps. The first thing that I decided to do in this moment of like, whew, this is happening to me, is I started to make a list. I love Excel. Literally everything in my life is like on an Excel document, okay? I'm just gonna acknowledge that now. And so what I did was I made a list of all of the capacities, all of the things that I needed in order for me to move the way that I wanted to. I essentially made job descriptions, right? Here's the kind of professional, here's the kind of experience, the expertise, and I made this list of these are all the capabilities that if I was putting a board of directors together for myself, for my brand, here is who I would want to be on my board of directors. This is the kind of people. The second thing that I did was I created an outreach system, okay, and I want to tell you how I did it. I decided that I was going to find 52 people. Why 52?
52 weeks in a year.
52 weeks in the year. I was going to find 52 people that I thought were really doing an amazing job. And I made this list of 52 people. They were also people that I thought would line up and maybe in some way or another with what was on my first list, right? The capabilities that I was looking for. And then I created a template note, and the note said, hey, friend, I would love to meet with you on Tuesday at 2 o'clock for tea for 20 minutes. I never met on a Tuesday. It was never 20 minutes. It was often coffee. But it worked. And I sent this note out, and I put a schedule together of when I was going to send it out to these 52 people. The other thing that I did was I made a script, and in that script, the meeting, this is how it went. Hi, so nice to meet you. This is why I reached out. Here is what I am looking to do in my future. Here is where I think I might be of assistance to you. Who else should I be talking to? Boom. Super simple, very easy. And I did it again and again and again. And then what I did was I looked at that original list of what are the capabilities I'm looking for, who are the people that I've met, and who can fill those spots. And I put together a board of director list. Now, it didn't stop there, and this is one of the key things. We talked about this idea of follow-up. But the next thing that I did was I made a list of, hey, boom, boom, boom. This is what's going to happen in January, February, March, April. And so I have it all scheduled out. This is how I'm going to interact with you. One week it might be another coffee. Another it might be I send you an article. Another it might be I just, check in. But I was very, very, very tactical about how I did this outreach plan. And then the last thing, and this is something that I've been doing now for over 20 years, is every year I set aside time in my calendar. It's coming up in 2 weeks, and I can't wait. But I do an annual review. I think about where is it I'm trying to go, so who might I need to add? Who's done their service and had a really nice term, but might need to exit off the board? Right? And so I'm very, very intentional about making sure that that annual review process is a wonderful time where I can bring all the people together and really have a strong understanding of what it is I need to have at the table. So I want you to think about this too. It might sound complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It's actually pretty simple. Who is it that you need to be on your board of directors? What would your outreach plan be? And when is a good time for you to make a refresh? Right? Is this the moment? Is this the moment in your career? Now, I know that, kind of talking about it this way, it might sound like I'm a very transactional person, and that is not the case at all. Every single one of these people that I had an opportunity to meet with, I tried to build authentic relationships with. There are some people that are on that original list that are literally my best friends now. I'm the godmother of one of their children. Some of them don't know they were on that original list. But the point is, when you're making those conversations and having those times to connect, building on that is what allows for you to build a network that really does put you front and center. It's where you find your mentors, your allies, and also where you find your sponsors. But I want to tell you the most important part of my Excel document. Okay, it's none of the pages I've told you already. The most important part of my Excel document is the last page. And on the last page, what I have there is who I'm holding myself responsible to. So on that page, just as intense as I am about the front end of it, I think about who is it that needs this kind of support too. I always have a college student on my list. I always have a graduate student. I always have a young professional. I always have a woman of color. And what happens is I mentor them. I sponsor them. I tell them, you're on my list. No, let me tell you for real. Let me show you my list, and then let's make your own, and then let's do the whole thing, right? I get really down into it and show them. But the best thing about that list is nobody gets taken off. You move through it, right? You go in your different pathways. But I always make sure that whoever is on that list, and my assistant has this list too, if they call, I stop. They get my full and undivided attention. So when you're thinking about this, I want you to challenge yourself. How can you do it for yourself? But how can you also do it for other people? Because you know what, this road, it doesn't get smoother. It doesn't get better unless we all put in the work. So put in the work. Thanks.